He was just 20 when he became king, and by 32, he had changed the world forever. Alexander the Great built one of the biggest empires in history in just 11 years, and he never lost a single battle. But who was he really? A military genius? A ruthless conqueror? Or a visionary who wanted to unite the world? This is the incredible true story of Alexander the Great, from young prince to legendary world conqueror. Let's begin his journey, and make sure to watch till the end too. Truly understand the man behind the legend. Alexander was born in 356 BCE in Pella, the capital of Macedonia in modern-day Greece. His father was King Philip II, a powerful ruler who united most of the Greek city-states under Macedonian control. His mother, Olympias, was a strong and ambitious woman. She told Alexander that he was a descendant of Achilles, the Greek hero. Alexander was taught by the great philosopher Aristotle, who gave him knowledge in science, philosophy, medicine, and literature. When Alexander was just 16 years old, his father, King Philip II, went off to fight in a military campaign. Before leaving, Philip trusted his teenage son enough to make him the regent. That means Alexander was in charge of ruling Macedonia in his father's absence. During this time, a tribe in Thrace, northern Greece called the Medi rebelled against Macedonian control. Most rulers would hesitate to send a young boy to war, but Alexander was not an ordinary teenager. He led the Macedonian army himself and defeated the Medi rebels in a quick and smart campaign. Not only did he crush the rebellion, but he also founded a new city in their territory to keep control over the region. He named this city Alexandropolis, after himself, just as he would do many times later in his life. This was his first experience as both a general and a ruler, and he succeeded by the time he was 18 years old. Alexander was already a trained warrior and a respected commander. In 338 BCE, he joined his father in one of the most important battles of Greek history, the Battle of Chaeronea. This battle was between Philip's Macedonian army and the combined forces of powerful Greek city-states, including Athens and Thebes, who were trying to stop Macedonian expansion. Alexander was given command of the Macedonian cavalry, which was a key part of the army. He didn't disappoint. When the fighting was at its peak, Alexander led a bold and fearless cavalry charge against the elite Theban sacred band, one of the toughest units in the Greek world. Thanks to Alexander's charge and Philip's strategy, the Macedonians won a huge victory. The defeat of the Greek city-states at Chaeronea marked the end of their independence, showed that young Alexander had the courage, leadership, and skill to become a great military leader. Historical reference: according to the ancient historian Plutarch, Alexander's bravery and tactics at Chaeronea greatly impressed Philip and the Macedonian generals. Some sources say, Philip said, "My son, seek a kingdom worthy of yourself, for Macedonia is too small for you." In 336 BCE, a shocking event changed Alexander's life forever. His father, King Philip II, was assassinated during a public celebration, possibly by one of his own guards. The reasons are unclear, but some ancient writers suggest Alexander's mother, Olympias, may have had a role in the plot. She wanted her son to be king and was known for her ambition and ruthlessness. Alexander was only 20 years old, but he acted fast. With the support of the army and key generals, he took the throne of Macedonia. Right after becoming king, Alexander faced rebellions across Greece. Many Greek city-states thought they could break free now that Philip was gone and his young son was in charge. But Alexander surprised everyone. He marched south with speed and power. When the city of Thebes rebelled, Alexander gave them a warning, but they refused to surrender. So he led his army into the city, crushed the rebellion, and completely destroyed Thebes. The city was burned, and around 6,000 people were killed, while survivors were sold as slaves. This brutal act shocked the Greek world. It showed that Alexander was not just a young king, he was a strong and fearless leader. After that, most cities surrendered without a fight, and Greece stayed under Macedonian control. Alexander now turned to a much bigger goal, conquering the Persian Empire, the greatest and richest empire of that time. His father had planned the invasion, but now it was Alexander's mission. In 334 BCE, he crossed the Hellespont, modern-day Dardanelles, into Asia Minor Turkey, with around 35,000 soldiers. In the year 334 BCE, Alexander the Great and his army entered Asia Minor, modern-day Turkey. This was the beginning of his big plan to defeat the Persian Empire. Soon after crossing into Persian land, Alexander reached the Granicus River. On the other side, a large Persian army was waiting for him. These Persian soldiers were led by local rulers called satraps, and they also had thousands of Greek fighters helping them. Alexander had about 35,000 soldiers, while the Persians had a little more. Some of Alexander's generals told him to wait and not attack right away, because crossing the river would be very dangerous. But Alexander was brave and wanted to surprise the enemy, so he decided to attack immediately. He led the cavalry horse soldiers himself and charged across the river. The water was deep and fast, and the Persians were standing on high ground. It was very hard to fight like this. During the battle, a Persian fighter almost killed Alexander by hitting his helmet. But one of Alexander's loyal bodyguards, named Cletus the Black, saved him by killing the Persian just in time. After that, more of Alexander's army crossed the river and joined the fight. The Macedonian soldiers were well trained and used strong tactics. They pushed the Persian army back and started winning. By the end of the battle, many Persian soldiers were killed, and the rest ran away. Alexander also captured the Greek mercenaries, fighting for Persia, and sent many of them home in chains to show that they had betrayed Greece. This battle was very important. It was Alexander's first big win against the Persian Empire. It opened the way for him to move deeper into Asia and gave his army great confidence. After the victory at the Granicus River, Alexander moved deeper into Asia Minor. Along the way, many cities and local rulers surrendered without fighting, impressed by his success and leadership. His army kept growing stronger and more confident, but soon, a much bigger threat appeared. King Darius III, the ruler of the Persian Empire himself, was coming with a huge army to stop Alexander. Alexander and Darius met near the town of Is, close to the Mediterranean Sea in what is now southern Turkey. Darius brought an army of over 100,000 men, while Alexander had about 40,000. Even though he was outnumbered, Alexander stayed calm. He used smart tactics and studied the battlefield carefully. The land near Issus was narrow between the mountains and the sea. This meant Darius couldn't use all his soldiers at once, and Alexander used this to his advantage. When the battle began, Alexander led a strong cavalry attack directly at the center, where Darius was standing. The Persian army was surprised by the speed and power of the attack. Darius got scared and ran away, leaving behind his mother, wife, and children. Many Persian soldiers, seeing their king flee, also panicked and ran. After the battle, Alexander found Darius's royal family in the Persian camp. But instead of hurting them, Alexander treated them with great kindness and respect. This made even his enemies admire him. It also showed that Alexander was not only a warrior, but also a noble and fair ruler. The Battle of Issus was another huge victory. It showed that Alexander could defeat even the great king of Persia, and it opened the way toward the heart of the Persian Empire. After defeating Darius, Alexander continued his journey south along the coast to cut off Persian naval bases. One of the most powerful and important cities was Tyre. Located on an island off the coast of modern-day Lebanon, Tyre refused to surrender. Its people believed their city was impossible to conquer. It had strong walls all around and was protected by the sea on all sides. But Alexander was determined. He didn't give up. He ordered his army to build a causeway, a land bridge from the shore to the island. It took months of hard work, under constant attack from Tyre's navy. Tyrians used fire ships, archers, and surprise attacks, but Alexander's men kept building. Alexander also built siege towers, placed catapults on them, and used them to attack the walls. After 7 long months, the causeway reached the city, and Alexander launched a final, powerful assault. His army broke through the walls, and the city finally fell. The victory at Tyre was one of Alexander's most difficult and most impressive achievements. Many commanders would have given up, but Alexander's patience, creativity, and determination led to success. He had shown that no city was safe if he decided to take it. After capturing the great city of Tyre, Alexander continued his journey south into Egypt, which was then under Persian control. But unlike many other places, Egypt did not resist. The people there welcomed Alexander as a hero. To the Egyptians, the Persians had been foreign rulers for a long time, so when Alexander arrived, many saw him as a liberator, not a conqueror. In return, Alexander respected Egyptian traditions. He visited the temples and made offerings to their gods. Most famously, he traveled deep into the desert to visit the Oracle of Ammon at the Siwa oasis. There, the priests told him something powerful, that he was the son of Ammon, the Egyptian king of the gods. This message made Alexander believe that he had a divine destiny. It also helped him gain the support and trust of the Egyptian people. During his time in Egypt, Alexander also founded a new city, Alexandria, near the Nile Delta. He chose the location carefully. It was near the sea and had access to trade routes. Over time, Alexandria became one of the most famous cities in the world, known for its library, science, and culture. After leaving Egypt, Alexander returned to face his greatest enemy, King Darius III. Last time, Darius had gathered an enormous army, possibly over 200,000 soldiers, including war elephants and heavy chariots. Alexander had far fewer men, around 50,000. But they were highly trained and well led. The two armies met near a place called Gaugamela, in what is now northern Iraq. Darius had chosen this battlefield because it was wide and flat, perfect for his chariots and large army to move. But Alexander had a clever plan. He didn't attack the center right away. Instead, he moved his forces to the right, stretching out the Persian line. This created a gap in the middle of the Persian army. Then, Alexander rushed through the gap with his cavalry and attacked straight toward Darius. Just like at Issus, Darius panicked and ran away, leaving his army behind. Without their king, many Persian soldiers gave up or fled. The Battle of Gaugamela was a complete victory for Alexander. It marked the end of the Persian Empire. He soon captured Babylon, Susa, and Persepolis, the capital cities of Persia. A short time later, Darius was found dead, killed by his own men as he tried to escape. After King Darius III was killed by his own men, Alexander became the new ruler of the Persian Empire. He now controlled a huge area, from Greece all the way to Persia. He called himself the King of Asia. To gain support from the Persian people, Alexander started acting like a Persian king. He wore Persian-style clothes and followed Persian court customs. He also encouraged his soldiers to marry local Persian women to help unite the two cultures. Alexander believed this was a smart way to bring peace and unity. But many of his Macedonian and Greek soldiers didn't like these changes. They felt that Alexander was forgetting his Greek identity and becoming too Persian. Still, Alexander continued with his plan because he wanted to build one strong empire, not just conquer land. After taking control of Persia, Alexander didn't stop. He kept moving east, into lands that are today Afghanistan, Uzbekistan, and Tajikistan. This part of the campaign was very hard. The people there were tough fighters, and knew the land well. They used guerrilla tactics, small surprise attacks from the mountains, and were difficult to defeat. Alexander had to fight many small, brutal battles. He realized that force alone wouldn't win the people. So, he used diplomacy too. He married Roxana, the daughter of a local noble, to gain the support of powerful local families. This helped him win trust and loyalty in the region, but the fighting was long and difficult. These years in Central Asia tested Alexander and his army more than any other part of the journey. In 327 BCE, Alexander led his army into India, crossing the Hindu Kush mountains. This land was full of new challenges, unknown terrain, unfamiliar cultures, and powerful local kings. One of the most famous battles was against King Porus, who ruled an area near the Hydaspes River in modern Pakistan. In 326 BCE, the two armies fought in the Battle of the Hydaspes. Porus had a large army with war elephants, which scared many of Alexander's soldiers. But Alexander used smart tactics. He crossed the river at night during a storm and attacked from an unexpected direction. The battle was tough, but Alexander won. He was very impressed by Porus's courage and leadership. Instead of removing him from power, Alexander made him an ally and allowed him to keep ruling his kingdom. After the battle, Alexander wanted to go further east, but his soldiers were tired, injured, and homesick. They had marched for many years and didn't want to keep going. Alexander listened to them and agreed to turn back, ending his eastward conquest. After turning back from India, Alexander chose a very dangerous route, home through the Jedrosian Desert in modern-day Iran. This journey was extremely hard. The desert was hot, dry, and full of sand. There was very little food and water. Many of Alexander's soldiers died from heat, thirst, and exhaustion. Even Alexander suffered, but he stayed strong and shared what he had with his men. Finally, in 324 BCE, Alexander returned to the city of Babylon, which he had made one of his capitals. Even after all his victories, Alexander was not done. He began planning new wars, including an invasion of Arabia. He wanted to keep expanding his empire even more. In June 323 BCE, something terrible happened. Alexander suddenly became very sick in Babylon. He had a high fever and felt very weak. After 10 days, he could no longer speak. Then, at the age of just 32 years old, Alexander died. The cause of his death is still a mystery. Some historians say he died from malaria or typhoid, while others think he may have been poisoned. His soldiers and followers were shocked and heartbroken. The greatest leader of their time was gone. After Alexander's death, there was no clear leader to take his place. His generals, called the Diadochi, began fighting over the empire, and it soon broke into pieces. But Alexander's influence did not die. He had spread Greek culture across Asia, which started a new time called the Hellenistic Age. During this time, Greek language, art, and science mixed with local cultures. He founded over 20 cities, most of them named Alexandria. The most famous one, in Egypt, became a center of learning and trade. His battle tactics are still studied in military schools around the world today. Alexander did all of this in just 12 short years. Alexander the Great was more than just a conqueror. He was a brilliant general, a bold leader, and a man with big dreams. He wanted to unite the world, not just rule it, even though he died young. His actions changed the world forever. His story teaches us that one person with vision and courage can shape history. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe our channel, and please comment which story of history you want us to cover next.